Welcome, everybody. I am so excited for today. Our mentor circle today is something that I'm just really excited about because it's a little different. Those who know me, who have been here before, know that I ran an HR consultancy firm, and so a lot of the content and topics were really around um, work related things and struggles that HR professionals were having and all of the future of work concepts and things like that. But today I'm very excited because it's a little bit different for our usual mentor circles. And I am so excited. I'm Helen Patterson. So I am the founder of Life Works Well, which my primary work is helping scaling organizations create heart-centered, high-performance, and healthy cultures. But I've been on my own about 10-year healing journey, and I have been a huge advocate for well-being in the workplace as well. And we are in a different age and stage of what work looks like. So I love seeing so many new entrepreneurs starting different types of businesses, and getting the healing out there is really something that I think is going to be part of the future. Whether corporate's ready for it, who knows? But I just feel that when I met Bryn, and she was talking about her work and the importance of somatics and just getting our nervous systems regulated, but also when she mentioned that she's a money witch, I'm like, okay, I like this. And it's really just about the magic. We can create so much. And many of us have these money blocks, or, our money history or stories from way back. So I am so excited for today. And I just wanted to introduce Bryn and Bryn Bamber. So she is as I mentioned, she has been trained in a number of things, including somatics and including visualization. I wanted you to introduce yourself because I probably am not going to do justice to all the work that you do. And I know we've chatted a little bit. And then, so I thought you could do a quick intro and let everybody know what to expect today. We're here till about 1, and we'll have time for questions and answered. I just wanted to ask a couple questions as well. But first of all, Bryn, please a quick intro, and I just love to know how your journey brought you to what are you offering to the world right now. And we'll start with that, and then you can explain to everybody what we're going to do, and it's going to be over to you.
Yeah, so my official boring title is Certified Core Energetics Practitioner. That's my certificate on the wall in my 4-year training program, it's a somatic modality that actually is in the Freudian lineage. So it has similar roots to some psychotherapy modalities. But the way that I started is I burnt out in my early 20s. I graduated from university. I got my dream job at a nonprofit. I was working with marginalized youth. It was like the work that I wanted to do. And I lasted about a year and I burnt out. And that was the beginning of my healing journey. Before that, I was like, I'm privileged. I don't deserve help and support. And then that was like a wake-up call that, oh, okay, if I just don't get any help and support and just push and try to help others, it's not working out. So I ended up moving to an ashram, Yashodhara Ashram in British Columbia, and studying yoga and studying the mind and studying meditation. And I ended up living there for 2 years, and it was a celibate ashram. It was modest dress. It was like hatha yoga every morning and satsang, which is kind of like yoga church, every night. And it was a really powerful experience for me. I became certified as a yoga teacher there. And that was the beginning of my healing journey. And then I moved to Toronto and went back to actually the same nonprofit job, which was kind of cool to be like doing the exact same work, but after having learned some self-care strategies. And it was when I was in Toronto, I was introduced to core energetics. A friend of mine was doing it, and I went to a workshop to support her. You know, she was offering like free Friday night. So I was like, oh, I'll go to support my friend. And I had a really powerful experience and transformation with this kind of somatic work. So then I started, like, I joined a weekly group and started doing more of it for myself. And I found it was really working. And then I decided to get certified in that.
That's amazing. I just wanted to ask you really quick for anybody that might be also watching this later. Is there a way to really quickly explain? Probably not, but we'll try. What would you explain core energetics as?
Yeah, so the quick way to explain it is if you imagine a 5-year-old that's super angry and wants to tantrum tantrum, wants to, but has learned from their parents or caregivers that it's not safe. Maybe the parents make fun of the child. Maybe they get angry back and that's scary. Maybe they withdraw their energy. But children are very attuned, especially to their primary caregivers. And so that child has to not do what's natural and their natural impulse. They have to, the way that they stop it is they hold their breath slightly, they tense their shoulders, they even tense their jaw. This is all unconscious, but it's happening in the body. And then often they end up doing this for years, decades, for many of us. So core energetics is working with those memories. Sometimes it's like the memory of, I was fighting with my dad and he screamed at me. But it's also working with the body. So they're like someone who has suppressed anger, which is part of my story, will have bands of tension in the shoulders, in the hips, in the jaw, like TMJ sometimes, from learning to hold that in. So sometimes we don't even need to go to the memory. We can just work with the physical body and start to make changes. And other times with my clients, we are going to talk about the situation as well, but we start with the body. There's so much wisdom there. So it's different than talk therapy where it's like more focused on talking. We obviously talk, a client will come in and say, hey, I have this money struggle, for example, in my business or I want to ask for a promotion, but I'm scared. And then like my first question is always like, okay, how do you feel when you think about asking for the promotion? What happens in your body? And that's the entry place that can take us sometimes to a particular memory from maybe 20 years ago that's connected to the fear of the asking for the promotion now.
Oh, I love this. This work is really just so important because when I think about my journey, I started to work on getting out of my head and into my body and feelings. I had so much suppressed and repressed emotions for sure. And so to be able to like hopefully teach that and work with people when they're younger and just keep spreading this in the world because we are, when we're holding so much in, it's just that's where the pain is coming out in other ways. So I'm really looking forward to what you're going to do with us today. I have one more question, and then we'll let you dive into the process. Um, why your focus mainly? You do a lot of focus on the money side. Is that just because that so many people have that question, or there's something there, or how is this connected to the rest of the body issues? I'm curious about that.
Yeah. So, when I started my practice, I was just like a general core energetics practitioner, and I would work with anyone for any topic and any gender and and then money and earning more and the wage gap in the patriarchy became like just something that naturally came forward with my client base. And also, I think my own story, my own story of with money has been, yes, the suppressed anger and this people pleasing. And like, I've realized now I burnt out from that job because I was people pleasing my parents to get my needs met as a kid. And then when I started working, I started people pleasing my boss. And the thing about people pleasing is that it works. Like, I was getting promotions, I was getting, raises, but I was tamping down my wisdom sometimes when it was like in opposition to my boss. I was holding a lot back. I was holding anger back, which of course I'm not going to scream at my boss, but there's a way to respectfully disagree in the workplace and to try to come up with a better solution. And so I like part of my own story and growth has been learning to make money from a place of joy and using my gifts and my wisdom, as opposed to making money from this people pleasing that is like actually effective. But there's kind of a cap of how much money you can make because, at least in my experience, like my body gave out eventually from like that's what led to the burnout. So it's helping people learn to earn more, but to also earn more in ways that are rejuvenating, not by reading what your boss wants and then doing that exactly.
Wow, I love this. I am sure there are so many people that can resonate with this in their past, including me, the people pleaser, past people pleaser, which is good. And I think that work that the recognition for it, I mean, there's opportunity to have these open discussions and to also unravel those systems that have been in place for so long. So I am so excited. So I'm going to now allow you to, help us feel into things, and if you want to just let people know what's up next, and then we're going to get into some practice and some exciting ways to think about how we can move forward. So thank you for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So if to start, if everyone will put in the chat just one sentence about what you hope to get out of this workshop now that you've heard a little bit about my background, and obviously you read the description that Helen and I put together. What are you hoping to learn? That'll help me, make sure my examples are relevant to where you are in life. But the process we're going to go through today, since it is the end of the year and we're moving into a new year, 2025, we're going to start with a somatic visioning exercise. So that will be like a 7 to 10 minute exercise. And then after that, you're going to have some time to take notes from the visualization. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what came up. Talk a little bit about how much money you want to be making in 10 years, or, maybe you're I don't know everyone's ages, so maybe some people are thinking about like retirement and what that's going to look like. And then we'll have a little bit of time to look at any money blocks that might be in the way of making the money amount of money you want to make or having the retirement that you want to have. So let me read the chat.
Yeah, go ahead and read it.
Helen is hoping to release any money blocks I have and visualize a beautiful and fulfilling 2025. Pat, a priority is to feel okay to stop people pleasing and get in touch with my own preferences moment to moment. Amazing. So yeah, take your time if you want to get something in the chat, but let me talk a little bit about the visualization while you're doing that. So the visualization, you're going to find a position where you can be comfortable. So even if you feel better turning off your camera and lying on your back, you're welcome to do that. You can also just find a comfortable position to sit in and feel free to adjust at any time. You know, like if you feel uncomfortable halfway through the shift, move your body. Don't stay frozen. But what we're going to do is we're going to visualize your ideal Wednesday 10 years in the future. So it's going to be a weekday, and just notice what comes up. It might not make any sense. And the goal here isn't to like predict exactly your future, but certain things might even appear as symbols. So part of what I learned at Yashodhara Ashram was like this language of images and symbols. And so, you know, maybe in your visualization, you'll have like a cuddly cat with you and you'll be like, what is this? I don't want a cat. I'm allergic to cats, or, you know, whatever logical thought comes through. And the cat might represent a pet. It might represent something soft and cuddly. It might represent a child. It might represent like the energy of a cat of being independent and sleek. So you'll have the visualization, and then probably you'll have your logical mind being like, this doesn't make sense. Or, you know, I've had some people where they have two visualizations where they're like, in this one I have kids, and in this one I don't have kids, and you know, what am I going to be doing in the evening if I don't have kids? So all of that is good for us to know. Any resistance to the visualization is actually helpful too, and that's kind of what we're going to be working through after the visualization. So welcome all of it. Welcome weird symbols that don't make any sense. Welcome resistance, and just try to pay attention, and then after you'll have some time to take some notes. So are there any questions before we go in?
That sounds good.
We got one more in the chat, right?
Yeah, Rose put
money blocks and get clear about what my body says. I love that.
So relevant. So yeah, so this is everyone. Yeah, so feel comfortable if you want to lie down, or I'm going to turn my camera off too, okay? And just be really in the moment. So thank you, Bryn. Over to you.
Yeah, so take some deeper breaths. You want to gently inhale and start to lengthen your exhale. And just start to tune into your body. Notice, how does your body feel? What parts of your body feel relaxed, energized, alive? What parts of your body feel tension? And just adjust your body in any way you need to to, the tension might not go away, and that's totally okay. And maybe a simple adjustment will help relieve it a little bit. So feel free to adjust your body in any way that would make you feel more relaxed for this visualization. And focus on your breathing. Gentle inhales and long exhales. Invite your spine to lengthen on your next inhale, and then relax on your next exhale. And gently close your eyes or soften your gaze. And you're going to imagine waking up on your ideal Wednesday 10 years in the future. And imagine yourself opening your eyes and just look around your ideal bedroom, in your ideal home, on your ideal Wednesday in 2035. And just notice the quality of the sheets. What are your pajamas? What does your ideal bedroom smell like? What does it look like? What's the decor? Are you alone or are you with others? And notice how you feel waking up on this ideal day 10 years in the future. And then imagine yourself stretching and getting up, moving into your morning on this ideal Wednesday. So maybe there's ritual involved, maybe there's breakfast and beverages. Just notice what happens. And again, noticing the smells in the morning, this morning activity. Are you inside or are you outside? Are you alone or are you with others? And how do you feel? What's the emotional quality of this ideal day? And how does your physical body feel? And then you'll move into the next part of your morning. So maybe you leave the house, maybe you stay home. And again, notice, are you alone? Are you with others? What's the decor, or what does the space look like? What do you hear? What are the noises on this ideal morning? And how do you feel? How does your body feel? How does your mind feel? How does your spirit feel? And then you're going to move into noon, lunchtime, or whatever you would do around 12 on this ideal Wednesday 10 years in the future. And if you're eating, noticing the taste. What does the food taste like? What does the food smell like? And whatever you're doing, you can notice the smells and the sounds and the view, the views, the look of the space that you're in. And notice, how do you feel? Then you're going to move into the rest of your afternoon. So maybe you change locations, maybe you stay in the exact same space. But notice what you're up to, who you're with. The sounds, the sights, the smells. And notice the emotional quality of the afternoon. Is it the same as the morning? Is it different? Have you shifted energy? Just notice how you feel. And then we're going to move into the evening. So what does your ideal evening look like on your ideal Wednesday in 2035? Are you alone? Are you with others? Are you with animals? Are you outside or are you inside? What does your dinner taste like, assuming you have dinner some point in the evening? And how do you feel? What's the feeling quality of this ideal evening? And then we'll move into your nighttime ritual, whatever you do to prepare to go to bed on this ideal day. Maybe you're brushing your teeth. Maybe there's something else that you do as part of that ritual. And again, notice the smells, the sounds. Is there music playing? Is it silent? Is there some other soundscape? Visually, what does your space look like for this nighttime ritual? And how does your body feel? Then you're going to imagine yourself crawling into bed, the end of your ideal day, and slowly falling asleep. So you can start to release from this visualization. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes in real life. You can stretch your body in any way that might feel good for it after this exercise. You can take a deep breath in and let out a sigh. Gently open your eyes. And just take a moment now to take some notes about your visualization. What happened, you can do what happened and just try to take bullet notes. We'll do about 5 minutes to write. So you might not get every single detail down, but just take bullet notes. What happened? What did you notice? Did you notice resistance? Take notes of that. What were the feeling qualities of your day? And I'm going to put a couple questions in the chat. So if you need prompts, go to the chat. If you just want to write stream of consciousness, please just do stream of consciousness. All right, so finish up your notes. And oh my gosh, I'm realizing like I could do this for 2 hours. So I'm like, condense. So what I would love to hear is if anyone has had any resistance to this, and since we are focusing on money, if there's resistance around money to the visualization that we could work with, if anyone would be willing to share that and volunteer to work with that a little bit, that could be really fun.
I would love it if one of our guests would be willing to do that too, if you're comfortable with it. There were a few comments in the chat, so feel free. Oh, Radhika, are you good? Hi.
Yes, I would like to share my experience. It was really fun and I did not feel any resistance. You walked us through each part of the day really beautifully. And it was just really nice, especially when the year is ending. It was beautiful to experience something like this. And forget about 10 years down the line, I might do it in 2025.
Yeah.
Why not?
I like 10 years because I think sometimes our imagination will allow for more, because it's like, oh, if I want to get a PhD, I could do that in 10 years.
Yes.
But one of the questions I actually love about this is doing the 10 years is, what from your visualization could you implement tomorrow, next week, next year? Maybe it's silk pajamas. Maybe it's, I recently did this with a client and she wanted more spaciousness and she committed to she has like a calendar link that books appointments for her. And she's putting a bigger break in between appointments. That's something she could do tomorrow to create that spaciousness. So that's a question for all of you to reflect on, is what doesn't have to wait 10 years?
Yes, no, it completely made sense. But my point was that I enjoyed it so much that I'm like, let me get on it with 2025.
I love it. I love it.
So if I could share quick, for me, I'm not a visual, I don't see the images, Bryn, when I do. I've done like some visualization before as well. And I'm not always an image. I can kind of see it, like it's like, I get it, but it's not vivid, but the feeling is always there. It's really how I'm feeling. And I was very teary-eyed because it was a joyful, like it was just like 10 years from now, I can see this. I can feel what this is going to be like because I'm getting closer. I'm a little bit older than you, I think. So I'm on that. But what's so nice about it is, I mean, there's still pieces of it that, wait a minute, there's some things missing, right? Even though it's so beautiful. And I've been craving the peace and the slow and just that, away from that hecticness of life. But because it's like away from the city, it's more remote, it's on the water, it's like it's quieter and not as many people, and it's kind of like forming new communities. So that's where from that perspective of what I would like to see coming in, that's the area, not so much the money side, which is nice to be in that place. I mean, I still have some things to work through, but I just feel like it's the relationships and community, because it's going to be a completely different location. So I felt really good about the peace side and see myself writing and the things that, will be my future me. But that piece is what came up a little bit, was, wait a minute, this looks a little lonely, I mean, there's my husband and the dog, but so yeah, so thank you for that, because it kind of gave me a little different perspective of what does that look like. Yeah. I love that I felt it and was teary-eyed, though, like just that, me with my coffee and my journal and, writing, and then, being strong and, yeah, like healthy. So yeah, I love doing this. I could do it for day. I was just thinking about that earlier, about talking and the visualize. I could do this all day. So thank you for that. Does anyone else, Rose or Pat, like to share anything?
I can go. So I think visualization is something that I really I believe in the power of doing it. This one didn't seem so much about what do I want to create, but just more what listening, like, and um, letting images come, letting sensations come, that kind of thing. And it wasn't that easy for me, but it kind of typically never is. So I don't I don't know if that's actually a block or if that's just me. So I don't know. I think the images, sensations were mostly positive. Really good place. I felt really relaxed and comfortable. Couldn't perceive any stress anywhere in my body. I think what came up for me is really good food. I don't think that was mentioned, so it wasn't like from a prompt. Also, smells. I have a very poor sense of smell, and it's something that I don't think about very much. But it's like, oh, I need to put more of that into my life in terms of, um, that's a part of my body that doesn't, you might say, doesn't get a lot of action because maybe it just can't sense enough of that, and I need something stronger. That's one thing. Yeah, I'm trying to it's like, what does this say about money? I don't quite know. I don't quite know. I think a lot of it was pleasant but blurry. Um, so then everything was. It felt very kind of cozy and comforting, except for this one piece where I had the image of a road, an asphalt for some reason. It wasn't particularly pretty. I'm planning a trip, and so there might be something about I want to travel, but there's some steps I need to go through, and I'm not loving, but who knows? But nothing specifically about money that I connect that with. So yeah, I'll end there. It was an interesting experience.
I just wish we had more time, because I mean, one question you can all ask yourself is, how much money are you making in 10 years? When you think about this ideal Wednesday, what kind of house do you have? You're able to easily afford, it sounds like, local, maybe organic food, good quality food. And so how much money, would be involved? And one thing I wanted to ask Radhika is like, you asked a question earlier on. You said, how can I maintain financial balance, security, and abundance without falling into the trap of greed in a capitalist-driven world? And I want to ask you that question after doing the visualization. Like, what's your answer to that at this point?
Well, I would say that somewhat with the visualization, it somehow got answered that what kind of life and lifestyle do I actually seek? And it was really simple and warm, and probably did not, well, of course it required substantial amount of money because we are living in that world, but there was no sense of greed that I needed more.
Right.
There was a sense of peace and being content with whatever I had. And probably it was through other sources and not from money precisely.
Yeah. Yeah. So community and yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I find
Yes.
that to pick up on that, if that's okay. It's interesting because, a lot of people talk about what is wealth, right? It's not only money, right? It's not only the financial abundance that we can find it in our health, in our experiences. And I mean, hey, money is great. Like I finally can say that. So I come a long way, but it's like for me, one of the best books I've read, oh, I loved it. It was called The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. And she talks about scarcity. There's the scarcity mindset and everything. And then there's the abundance, which abundance always felt like, well, that's too much. That maybe is what Radhika's saying about that's greed. That's like, I don't need to have like all these cars and fancy clothes. And you know what I mean? And so it's like her concept of sufficiency, which is it's about there is enough. And that's what I found. It's like, so there's enough and it doesn't need to be overboard. So I think, but if you want all these beautiful experiences in your life, if you want to have the house on the beach or near the water, or you want to be able to take the trips and travel, you need money. It's the reality. So this has been a really good way to kind of deepen, like keep going deeper, because for me, as I'm moving into this part of my life, which I've had a great career, and I think I capped out at some points too from my own contribution. But I want to give back, and I want to be able to have enough that I can say, hey, I'm going to help be of service to others in a different way. So I'd like to kind of deepen that perspective of my money, that the more I have, the more I can also give. My husband laughs because he's like, you want to give it all away now? And I'm like, well, some of it. But then I'm like, give it to myself too, because that was always hard. So there's a lot wrapped up in it if we kind of start to unpack. One last thing on the vision. Did you have any wind sound on or something?
Literally, it's my,
Oh,
it's my, this is a door to the outside.
oh, okay. Yeah, I kind of loved it because it was where I was visualizing, which was like walking by the water and looking outside. And I was like, I kind of was feeling it. So it was actually pretty cool. So I might have to envision that wind, salt in my hair, or maybe not, maybe lakefront if it's fresh water. But I do love the beach. So I love the salt water as my healing. That's my floating in that. I'd like to do more of that. So that is something, again, to get the block of why not, do you know? Anyway, this was wonderful. Pat, I know you've been on mute or whatever. We want to make sure if you have anything you'd like to share that you're welcome. You don't have to, but I know we're getting closer to the hour and I want to be respectful of people's time. But oh, yes, good. She's unmuted. Thank you.
I'm okay to share a lot. I mean, a big part of it for me, I guess, was just the spaciousness and the not rushing, like just self-determined. I kind of do what I want every day. I don't know if this was a resistance or a block, but in terms of the money, there was not a dollar amount or anything like that. It was just a feeling of like I'm not thinking about money. Like it's just not something I'm concerned about. My needs are met. I'm not living extravagantly, but like I'm eating good food. I'm healthy. And like there's enough obviously for little extras and things that like please me, like treats and stuff, but it wasn't again like a dollar amount or like think like there's just no thought of money, which is kind of ideally how I'd like it to be. Like I'm not interested in learning finances or anything like that. But again, I realize that that might just be a block because like it is actually helpful and part of being empowered to actually like take ownership of that stuff and start to learn about it. So that's just something for me to think about on my own. But yeah, so it was just yeah, generally like I'll just repeat again, but it was just like doing what I want, slow and easy, lots of space around things and between things. Like the people that I love, I can care for them and help them, you know, meet their goals and dreams and stuff like that at a nice pace. Thank you. It was a good exercise. Thank you, Bryn.
Yeah, I love that. And I love what Helen said about the soul of money and, you know, abundance versus scarcity or whatever you want to call it. But the almost like the quality of having enough and appreciating it. And you know, because I think one thing I like that book too. And I think one thing I think I got from this book, or maybe I got it from somewhere else, but was some people have a lot of money and they don't feel wealthy. They don't have spaciousness. They're scared of losing it sometimes, or, you know, maybe it's not going to be enough. I need more, or I have to, you know, like from my history, it's like I got to people please a bunch of people to maintain this. So I kind of like, this isn't exactly what I expected to get out of this workshop, but I think one thing I'm taking away that I think is really cool is like this like holistic wealth, if that makes sense, or it's like spacious days, good food, a sense of peace, a sense of spaciousness in your body and in your day, and you know, that a lot of that doesn't need a certain amount number in the bank account. Like a lot of that we can start to build into our days now. I'm just going to put a free workshop of mine in the chat. It's somatics to heal money blocks. I was hoping we would get to this content and we just don't have time to dive into the money blocks today. So I'm going to put this in the chat for everyone so that if you want to dive into the body and look at blocks, it's a recording of a workshop. The volunteers were very brave and shared some money blocks that I think so many of us have. And you also get a worksheet with it that will help you take yourself and your own body through the process.
That is amazing. Thank you for that. I know the time does go quick, doesn't it? I will be sharing this out. I have a newsletter, so I will be sharing the recording and where people can get a hold of you. And I'll make sure I put that resource in there too, Bryn, for those people that will watch this later, because I know there are several that said they'd like to. Where can people where's the best place for people to get in touch with you for those watching later?
Yeah, so I am the most active on Facebook. I'm like old or something. So
You're an old soul.
Friend me on Facebook like it's 2001. I can put my Facebook in the chat too. I'm also on Instagram. I'm not very active there. I'm relatively active on TikTok. So I'm like weird. I'm like super old and I'm super young or something.
Yeah.
But feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or wherever you are. If you sign up for this free workshop, Somatics to Heal Money Blocks, you'll be added to my newsletter. I also email a lot. Of course, you can unsubscribe at any time if your inbox is getting overloaded, but that's another way to stay connected.
Yeah, this was amazing. And I also think it's just so relevant to so many ages and stages of our life, really, when you think about it. There's going to be something coming up, and when you mentioned earlier about pay equity or pay as it relates to the traditional workplaces, there's so much there to unravel too. When you think about those studies about, people that had an MBA, and female males will ask for more money, and so that gap gets bigger and bigger, and so that so much of this money work could be really helpful, especially to women. And something you said earlier, and Pat kind of got to it too, is I only started really, really paying attention because my husband did a lot of the work on the finance side, even though we have a joint bank account. And, when I was in corporate and earning a lot of money was going to like caregiving or, but, we had it all sorted out. But even more recently, as I think about aging and the rest of my life, like what do we need in order to make sure we are comfortable? If, knock on wood, nothing's going to happen because I visualize being strong and healthy, but should something happen, how much, do we have? So it's really important and I think what Pat said about the empowering yourself, especially as a woman, and I want to pass that on to my daughter. So I'm clearing up these money blocks. I've been having to deal with my mom's estate, which has been taking me a while. It was very small, but even in my family history, there was a lot of generational stuff to kind of it needs to stop here. So I really, really appreciate everyone that showed up today. And Bryn, thank you so much for co-hosting and leading us through this. I really appreciate you. And if anybody does want to reach out to me, it's Helen Patterson. I'm on LinkedIn. My website is lifeworkswell.ca. I'm at lifeworkswell.ca on Instagram as well. And I'm shifting a bit right now myself to be working with people, especially people who have lost their jobs and are looking at what they want to do and at their later stage careers. And so much of this is all tied together. So thank you, everybody. I hope you have some happy holidays. I know it's not always easy, the pace. I love that everybody's craving the spaciousness and the slower. I think that we can move through that and not feel all that, energy out there that is creating a little bit of stress or anything like that. So we have a mentor circle every month, and I'm looking forward to planning for 2025. So reach out anytime. And again, you know where to find Bryn now, and I'll share out a little bit after with the recording if anybody wants to go through it again. So happy holidays, all the best in 2025 and your future 10 years. So see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.